Hey, what's going on, everybody? Um, it's a big story, hot story all over LA right now about this guy named Christopher Dorner. Now, he's apparently basically declared war against the LAPD. He was fired about 5 years ago for so-called falsifying a report against another officer. He said, I believe one of the officers kicked, a civilian or somebody. He was honest. He went back and reported. He's like, yo, and I understand why he went and reported, because it's like in LA they already have a bad reputation for not treating citizens right, doing a lot of crooked shit. LAPD is known for just being corrupted. We seen what happened with, Rodney King, and tons of other cases, that's in the police files. But he went back and reported, and I guess, code upon code is, you don't around another officer. You see another officer beat the shit out of somebody, you keep your mouth closed, especially if you're a brother. But he went and, he reported. And they said, he was falsifying things that wasn't true. And they ended up firing the brother. And, he went and served for this country. Guess he went under another line of work, but I guess that still stays in him. When you put your life on the line every day as a police officer, and you get fired because you try to do the right thing, you try to do what that badge represents. You carry yourself with some honor, carry yourself with some integrity. Be honest. When you do that, and then the same people who preach to you every day to follow that code of honor stabs you in the back, well, this is what happens. You get pissed off and you seek revenge. Now, he shot, I believe, one or two officers. I might be a little off on that, but he has shot at some officers. He's wrote a letter to LAPD, and putting threats on certain officers' families and everything. And I don't agree with him shooting people and shooting innocent people because he's pissed the hell off. Although I do understand it. But, this brother here, I feel like he's going about it the wrong way. I understand him being angry about it. I understand his frustration. But it's nothing more than the media loves and the LAPD loves to say that, we got a crazy nigga with a gun. That's the worst thing, because that justifies them of blowing your head off. And, I think there's other ways that this brother can go about, clearing his name and getting the justice that he feels needs to be served. Now, if he's saying that there's a lot of crooked things going on within the LAPD, I believe the brother, hands down. Because anybody who has lived in LA and you spent the, majority of time here in LA, and you've experienced things that go on and just being harassed as an African American or a minority here in LA streets and in California, period, the type of crooked shit that goes on. From Rodney King, from that brother a couple of years ago in Inglewood. The cop slammed down the damn hood like a damn wrestler because he so-called wasn't following directions. Come to find out, the brother was slow. He had a mental issue. They caught him on camera doing that. So LAPD just has a long history of corruption. And this is what happens. People get pissed off. People get tired of their rights being violated. They get tired of being treated anyway, or getting locked up for bullshit, or because they're looking for African American male, between the weight of 100 pounds or 500 pounds, 4'11" to 7'2". They just locking up, whoever. People get tired of that, and that's where you have rappers like NWA come out, and you had the Watts riots, and all these other different events that have occurred here in LA because out of frustration and out of people being upset of being treated any type of way. And going back to him writing the LAPD, it was a long letter he wrote to people who knew him and just the LAPD and people in general. You know, it's a little lengthy letter, so I'm not even going to go into it. If y'all want to check it out, I will leave a link in the description box so y'all can read it. But it is a lengthy letter. And, you know, he basically was saying that, you know, I'm doing this for my rights. I'm doing this to clear my name because he feels like he was falsely accused of doing something that was incorrect, which is what happens to a lot of African American black males and sisters too here in LA. I've experienced it. I know you guys that are out there that live in LA, you've experienced it. There's probably not a black person in LA that hasn't been harassed by the LAPD. So, I mean, you know, I just think it's time for the government and President Obama and a lot of other people who have control to change things and are above the LAPD to get some of this stuff corrected, because this is what happens. You know, the brother, he had enough. He had enough of the bullshit. And, you know, you can only kick a dog so many times before they turn around and bite you in the ass. But, you know, y'all read the story. If you're familiar with it, give me your feedback. You know, what do you feel about this situation? Now, you know, I'm not condoning what he's doing, you know, shooting random people and shooting at the cops. Because one guy against LAPD, you know, you're going to lose. And that's why I say he should go about this situation in another way. Because you being, you know, ex-military vet or whatever, you served with the LAPD. I was reading that, you know, this guy is pretty much a sharpshooter, and he knows what he's doing with a gun, so he's highly dangerous. And like I said, it's nothing more that they love than, you know, putting a label and painting a black man as a crazy nigga with a gun, especially when you have the credentials of this man. You almost asking them and giving them justifications for putting about 55 bullets in your ass. And, you know, that's basically what I got to say about it. But, I mean, you know, if you in LA, be safe, because, you know, it's a manhunt out here. And there's a lot of brothers that that favor this guy. And you know how it is. You know, when one black man does something that pisses off the LAPD, you got everybody that pays for it. So, you know, I mean, it's open season out here. But, you know, I just want to tell everybody, if you do live in LA or in California in general, watch your back, be safe, keep your ass in the house tonight, because, you know, it is serious. And it is a manhunt going on. But y'all comment and give me your feedback. I'm out.